Appreciate everyone joining the webinar today. My name is Matthew Abbott. I'm the Chief Product Officer here at Earth Solutions. Many of you I've met in person and talked to several of you in person as well. So welcome back, and it's great to be able to do this with you. I'm responsible for the vision and strategy here at Earth Solutions, and I love the chance to be able to tell you the new things that we've done and get to show you some of the cool features we've added to the product here. Today's webinar, we're going to be talking specifically about enhancing field accuracy with AI and automation. And there's a new change that we released recently that we're really proud of. So what I'll do before I get started here, just a few kind of things to note here. We do have a Q&A question at the very end of the webinar here. So feel free in your chat bubble on Zoom, there's the ability to ask Q&A questions. So feel free to ask those questions in that actually chat right there. And I will address them all at the very end of the actual webinar. And then I'll also give you my contact at the very end of the webinar. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly, especially if there's questions that we don't get addressed during this session here. So let's go ahead and get started here. So first off, we always like to start with the problem. And when I say that, we talk to our customers all the time to figure out what problems they have and really work on solving what those issues are. So this problem is going to be something that all of you are very, very familiar with. All of you are very, very close with. And the problem is this, and it's specific to photos on tickets. So as you all know, and everyone on this call, you get, thousands, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, millions of 811 tickets per year. And for many of those tickets, there's photos on those tickets, at least one, and sometimes we've even seen over 100 photos on a single ticket. So if you think about that, that could literally be, hundreds of millions of photos to go through and audit to see if there's accuracy, if the correct markings were done at that particular mark and locate here. And so it's impossible. The real core problem that we heard our clients having is it's impossible for you and your teams to review every photo on every ticket to ensure that there was accuracy in the work being done in the field, specific to 811 tickets. So what we've done in our solution is we've actually found a way to really automate this and make this intelligent. And so from a solution standpoint here, we have built what we call Earth Insights Photo AI Audit. And let me explain what that is here. So from a very high level standpoint, we've taken a lot of the data that we have in terms of the actual photos, and we've been able to train models specific to each color in the mark and locate process. So I'll be talking a lot about orange paint flags because that's what I'm going to show you today. But we can do the same thing with red, white, all the different colors, yellow, blue, any color we have out there. But we took historical photos, we trained AI models to say this is what blue paint looks like, and here's what blue flags looks like. And now the AI model is intelligent enough to see, if there are blue paint or blue flags or orange paint or orange flags on each photo. Okay, so that's what we've done here, and that's what the actual model was built on here. So it can determine if the photos on tickets have the correct paint and flag colors, right, for your business. Then what we've done is not only have we done the AI model behind it, but we've also done some analytics around the location. So with photos now, they have a layer called XF data, which is like an XML layer behind photos that provide the lat long of where the photo was taken. And we can use that XF data now to determine how far the photo was away from the dig site or how close it was to the dig site as well. And that's useful because now you can see if the person was actually at the right dig site doing the right mark and locate, taking the right photos at that point. Now, along with that, I'll show you a little bit more. I'll go into more details here about the configuration. Not only do we have like the AI model and then the lat long or location based, but we've also given the ability for the administrators to configure, what they consider a pass and fail photo. So the solution at the end of the day looks at every photo to say, is the correct paint and flag color on the photos? And is it close to the dig site? And if the answer is yes, then it will pass each photo. If not, it fails each photo. So when you do that, you've got to let the administrator configure, because every business is just a little bit different here, right? So the administrators can configure the max distance the photo is allowed to be from the dig site. So you could say if it's within 500 feet, then I'll consider that a pass distance, right, from the dig site. If it's 1,500 feet, maybe we fail it at that particular point. The administrator can also configure the percent of certainty of pass for an attachment to be valid. What that means is when every photo is taken on a picture is taken on an 811 ticket, we pass that picture to an AI model. The AI model gives it back with an accuracy or a certainty to it. You can configure that certainty now to say anything above 75% certainty will pass, consider a pass photo. Anything under, we fail it. So that can be configured as well by the administrator. And not only that, but everyone's got different requirements for the number of photos they have on tickets. Some require 1 photo, some require 10. It's just different. So administrators can come in here and configure the number of valid attachments needed for a ticket to pass. And so what that'd be, if you require 2 photos in every ticket, there have to be at least 2 passing photos for that entire ticket to pass the audit, using this AI model that we have. And so from not only have we done that, that's nice, but the reality is if you just do that, then everything else that you provide to the user group, like yourselves, would be manual. You'd have to go and look at every ticket and so on. We've also built automation underneath of that. That's highly important. I'll talk more about that automation. Okay. So the solution to the problem here, again, I'll restate the problem. The problem really is, there's so many photos on all the tickets and all the photos on all the tickets you receive throughout the year. It's impossible for you all to audit every single one of those photos to make sure the correct patent marks or mark and locate have been done. And we have now provided a solution with an AI model and proximity information like the lat longs on photos to help pass and fail those photos here. Now, from a process standpoint, again, we try to make it as easy as possible here. So from a process standpoint, what we've done is we've given the ability where we configure the AI project for you. If you're using orange paint and flags, we configure that for you. If it's red paint and flags, we configure that and so on. So we configure the AI project, which is just a flip of the switch on here. You configure everything else. You can configure the pass-fail criteria, right, which I just showed you. I'll go in more depth there. You can configure smart score process automation rules, which are the engines that drive the automation. And then you can configure the ticket summary screen, which actually helps you see what tickets have passed and failed based upon the photos on those tickets here. Okay. So very, very simple process, very easy to implement here. Now, in terms of what does it actually look like, that's one of the most important and key things here, right? So starting first with the administration side here, and this is the only thing administrators really have to do outside of doing some of the automation here. So like I said here, this particular AI project, we turn on for our customer. They can see that now. This is specific to orange paint and flags. So that's enabled. Not only can you configure the items I told you below, which we'll go into more detail here, but you can also configure it for specific reg codes. So if you have different facilities and different reg codes, you can say, okay, the reg code, 348 is going to have orange paint flags, but reg code 579 is going to have the red paint flags because, again, differences in facilities by reg code here. Or you can configure multiple reg code to have multiple colors in as well, in which we can pass and fail items based upon those multiple colors. Now, not only can you do it by reg code and administrators configure by reg code, they can also say, come down here to the bottom here, which says photo location requirements. A photo must have a lat long to be valid. So what that means is when the user takes a picture, they upload the picture, we will look to say, is there a lat long on that picture? If there's not, and the person doesn't check that, we could fail the picture immediately because now you don't know the location of where that image is taken. What can also happen is, notice underneath of that it says, use the location of action if the EXIF data is unavailable. So what that means, sometimes there's this EXIF data attached to each picture that you take. That's like an XML layer that provides information about the picture, including the location. Sometimes that information can be stripped out. Well, if it's stripped out, what you could do is use the location of the action. So where the user is standing when they take the picture, we can use that location instead of just the EXIF data on the actual image itself. And if we have a lat long in either of those cases with both of those boxes checked, we will consider the picture passed. It will at least passed and say, yep, it has a location data, it's passed. The next criteria is the maximum distance in feet a photo is allowed to be from the dig site. So again, configurable by your administrator. So you can put 500 in there. What that means is if the user's photo, either that EXIF data or the location of the action is outside of 500 feet, we would fail that photo because the picture is taken too far away from the dig site here. And again, that's configurable. So you can make that 1,500 feet, 3,000 feet, whatever you deem to be reasonable for your business here. Now, below that is the percent of certainty of pass for an attachment to be valid. That is where the AI model provides a certainty back to us. The better the picture, if it has orange painted flags that are very noticeable, you see them really well, the better the certainty generally with AI here, with the AI model. So what this is saying, anything 75 or over in terms of certainty from the AI model that it does have orange painted flags, it would automatically pass those photos. Anything under 75, it will fail those photos, right? And again, as the AI models get better, your certainty can go up and up, right? Into 80, 85, and you can change that as the AI models get better here as well. So that's how you can configure. And then the last thing you can configure, again, like I said before, the number of valid attachments needed for a ticket to pass the attachment test. So again, each customer has different requirements for the number of photos that they need. In this case, we have 2 in here. You can put 5, 10. What that means is if they don't hit 2 attachments that are valid, then the entire ticket fails the audit then, is what that's saying here. So as long as 2 attachments on the ticket pass the criteria above, then that ticket is considered a passing ticket in terms of the AI photo audit. And so that's what administrators can set up here. So you set this up one time, you can come back and configure and tweak it as you get more sophisticated, but very easy to do from a setup standpoint. Now, from an end user standpoint, what does this look like here, right? And again, everything we do at Irth, we try to make it as simple as possible for our end users to see here. So this is the summary screen here, and on the ticket summary screen, what you can see is in the red highlighted box here, you'll see 3 fields. So one field says number of valid images. The other field says number of user attachments. The number of valid images tells us how many images have actually passed, how many images have passed the actual criteria that the administrators configured here. And so that's what that says here. Then the second column here, the number of user attachments now, what you can see with the number of user attachments is you can see how many total photos were uploaded. So in some cases, you can see that there were 0 valid images out of 12 attachments. And then the last column within that red box says pass or fail per images. And you can see some of them say fail. So if you have 0 valid images out of 12, of course, that's going to be a failure because you at least have to have 2 images that are valid in order to pass. Some of them say pass. So you'll see valid images 2, out of 2, that's a pass, right? That is now passed the AI audit, is what that has done here. So what you have here is you have a full system behind the scenes reviewing every single photo to see if there's any issues with the photos in terms of not detecting, paint or flag colors. And then you have the location as well that we're looking at for every single photo. You have it is if you have a human brain behind it looking at every single one of these to say, yes, this is a pass, this is a fail. The nice thing about it as well is that you can do a search for it, or you can click on the actual column, the pass-fail column, to sort by all the failures at the top as well. So that's a manual process, but you can absolutely do that. And that helps you see how many photos have failed or how many tickets have failed the photo AI audit versus have passed the photo AI audit. So very important screen in terms of being able to recognize what has failed and what has passed. Now, if we move on here, not only do we provide you the summary screen, which is kind of that mid-level detail, right? It's saying, has the ticket as a whole passed or failed based upon the photos? But we provide context for every photo as well that has gone through the actual AI audit here. And this is an example of what that detail looks like here. So when you click on a photo, when you click on a ticket and open up the ticket first, now what you can do is you can click on a photo within that ticket, and that's what we're seeing here. Within the photo on the ticket, in that red box, it tells you exactly why that image failed. And what you'll see here, this one says image was 1,561 feet away from the ticket dig site. It was greater than the 500-foot threshold. So in that case, that image failed because it was outside of that threshold that you set for how far it can be away from the dig site. Now, this is a good picture though, because it does have markings on or you can see the orange paint on the ground here. If we do detect that there's no paint on the ground or no flags, it will literally say no orange paint, no orange flags. It will tell you the reason why the ticket fails here. So the reason can be different per the different results we get back on this here. So not only do you have that mid-tier view of seeing if the ticket as a whole passed or failed, but you can see each individual photo, what the issue is with each individual photo, right? And so that's important to see here from this detail or from this perspective. Now, again, from an end user standpoint, we try to make it as easy as possible to see what has actually failed, what has passed. But you don't constantly have to be looking at it. You can set up automation. The automation is one of the most important things here. So we have added in, when you use this here, we've added this information into Smart Score. And what you can do is you can say, okay, how many valid images? So in this particular case, I've set up a score. This is where the administrator would go here to create this score that a ticket gets automatically scored on here. So in this case, it says if the number of valid images is less than 2, then add a score of 100. Now that's very, very important because what that does now is that says out of the results we get back from the AI model and the lat long, the location information, we either pass or fail the images here. And for every ticket, we say, all right, if the valid images is less than 2, we're going to fail the ticket as a whole. And now what you can do is you can take that score of 100 from Smart Score and you can put it into auto processing. You can also do notifications with that. So what that means here is that, if you just think about it from a notification standpoint, you don't constantly have to go to the summary screen. You don't have to be monitoring tickets on the summary screen at all. You can set up the Smart Score, throw it in the notification, and a supervisor can be notified if a ticket fails. And this is in real time. When you think about it, as images are taken, as photos are taken on tickets, as they're uploaded in, we're sending that information over to the AI model and getting results back in near real time. So within 5 minutes of a ticket being marked and located, you can see if it passed or failed the audit, which is very, very important, right? Why is that so important? Well, now you can do a correction at the snap of a finger. Within 10 minutes, you can be on the phone again, calling the person before they even left the work site to say, hey, the images came back wrong. It looked like you were in the wrong location, or you did not paint, use the correct paint color, something like that, right? And we can detect that now, and that's why the automation is so important. Along with that, remember, Smart Score can be used in our risk model as well, right? So once you have a Smart Score, it can actually increase or decrease the overall risk of an actual ticket. So the automation side of the AI photo model is one of the most important things that we've done here. Of course, we give you a way to visualize it, but there's also the automation where you can notify the right people at the right time, get a corrective action done in place almost immediately in near real time, so that way a damage does not occur here. Okay. So very important aspects, the automation piece of this. Now, all of this wraps into really the value and the return on investment, right? And when you think about that value, it's a lot of what I've already said here. So the number one thing is really the reduction in damages. How does this reduce the damages? Again, it comes back down to the fact that as photos are taken, they're taken in real time, uploaded on tickets in near real time, that those images, those photos are taken and passed directly through this model in near real time, and you get the results back in near real time. So if you have automation set up, that automation can notify you, within minutes of a ticket being, the mark and locate being complete on a ticket, and it can notify the actual field tech, the administrator, the supervisor, that there's an issue with a ticket, it failed the audit. And then you can get that person back on site to actually correct the work that they missed, right? And if you have the correct paint and flags and you're sure you have the correct paint and flags, most likely you're not going to have a damage then, right? They're not going to dig and hit you, which is an important aspect. Now, the other side of the ROI and the value here is the liability side. So on the liability side, you can show here that you have a model that is literally auditing every single ticket that you have come in, every photo on every ticket that you have coming in. And again, think about the amount of work that is if that was a human. If you've got hundreds of thousands of tickets or millions of tickets and you have 2 to 10 photos per ticket on average, you've got potentially millions of photos out there that you would have to audit here. This does it for you automatically, and you can rest assured that say, hey, I've got a system out there that does this. It calls out whenever there's an issue here. There were no issues found on this particular ticket. We did the correct mark and locating. It was within the threshold of the feet that's needed here, and we're really sure that we did the right thing. And here's how we know, right? And you can actually prove that, to help reduce your liability. So from a ROI standpoint, a value standpoint, the reduction in damages and the reduction in liability are massive when it comes to this type of thing here. Now, at our solutions here, what I want to call out here is really the different AI models that we play with, right? Like there's a lot of things we're doing from AI, and I know it's a buzzword, but it's gotten so good that we've embedded it in multiple spots in our products here, for many different reasons and for different use cases. So there's really 3 tiers that we focus on here. We focus on vision detection, which is what I've been talking a lot about here during this particular webinar here. We also do machine learning. Some people call it neural networks, but that's an important aspect of what we do. And then, of course, the more recent one are large language models or LLMs, which I'll get into here in a second. Examples of the vision detection are what we just talked about this webinar here, which have been, being able to audit the photos, on tickets for paint and flags, the correct colors for paint and flags. The models we built have gotten very, very accurate at doing that here. We've also built additional models around meter inspections, right? Being able to detect if there's, corrosion, rust, vegetation, if there's buried meter, in the ground, and then spit out activities after the fact here. We built a bunch of different vision models as well. We consistently work on different vision models, everything from, are there problems with the assets in the field to being able to see if there's any type of encroachment using satellite imagery, from satellite data for aerial patrols. So all different types of things we do from a vision detection standpoint here. On the machine learning side, that definitely is in conjunction with this and has an impact, and I'll explain why here. So we have an Earth Insights AI that is where we can predict risk on 811 tickets. It is the best and most accurate prediction of risk on 811 tickets that's in the industry today. We can also predict the impact of damage on 811 tickets. So we've used historical data to build these machine learning models, these AI models here, that can predict the risk and the impact of damages on tickets here. That's important for this because you can see that the vision detection models, the photo, the pass fail for the actual paint and flags can be put into a single smart score along with the risk and impact models. So if you have a high risk ticket with a high impact, a potential impact, and then the photo AI audit finds that it's a fail, that could increase the overall risk of the ticket as a whole. So those two absolutely work in conjunction with one another here. And you can see the overall risk of the actual ticket from a risk standpoint, impact, and did it fail audit with the photo AI audit here. Now, another machine learning model that we're working on, we're really excited about, is our ticket clearing model. It's brand new, not released yet. It will be released by the end of this year here. But that basically looks at tickets as a human would to decide, should we assign it to the field or should we clear it? And that is a new model that's coming this year, very sophisticated model, what we've done. And, we're one of the first in the industry to bring this. So we're excited about that one coming. Now, on the large language model side, that's definitely a buzzword. Everyone on this call has heard about ChatGPT. But the reality is, it's getting much better. It's phenomenal at what it does. And we are going to be the first company to bring an LLM to the damage prevention industry, which we're excited about. And that does fit in with what I'm explaining here today, and I'll show you why here. So the very first use case and what we're working on now, we'll have this done by Q3 of 2024. The LLM, like a ChatGPT, is very good at explaining reasons for risk. So if you ever see a risk score of 89, right? The first question is, why is it an 89 of a risk, right? Well, now you can click on it, and an LLM model will give you a nice language of why the score is the score, which is very important. So when you think about this, all this wraps into one thing here. We can predict the risk on tickets, we can predict the impact. You can see if the photos have failed audits on tickets now, you can now see your risk and change your overall risk. And then what can happen is the LLM, like a ChatGPT, can tell you the reason the risk is the risk here, right? So it's the full focus of everything on an actual ticket. And again, a massive return on investment, a massive value in terms of reducing damages. And that's one of our main goals here in terms of our customers. And we know it's your goal as well from a customer standpoint. Now, what I want to go into next here is we see there's a lot of different use cases out there that kind of seem to coincide with each other, right? Or have some crossover. But there are different solutions for the different use cases. And I want to explain what they are here, but they all do kind of go hand in hand. So each column you see here is a different use case. And I want to explain the different solutions we have for each use case. So number one here, routing and assigning tickets. That's getting the tickets to the right people, at the right time. So we've got two different capabilities there. Auto processing, which many of you use, and we have Smart Score as well. Smart Score can really model and look at different reasons you assign tickets. So if you assign tickets based on location, is it a high profile area, high consequence area? You can look at a different work type, like a type of boring. Different variables you can program in a Smart Score or configure in a Smart Score, and it will actually get the right field tech based upon those different variables. Auto processing looks at individual variables to get that out. Is it in this particular area, then automatically assign it out to this team over here, right? So that's the difference in the routing and assigning ticket use case and the features that are important for those. In terms of predicting risk, we've got different capabilities depending upon your maturity model for each one of our clients. So we've got Smart Score out there where you can set up models directly manually, or you can add multiple things to models, many different variables, including things like the AI model, the photo auditing, all that can be added in Smart Score here. We've got DRA, which stands for Damage Risk Assessment. Damage Risk Assessment is a learning model. And what it does is it looks at three key things. It looks at the excavator, the locator, and then the facility itself to say, what are the damage ratios of each one of those when they're at fault, if they're at fault here. And that learning model changes the number over time. So if an excavator hits you, 3 out of 10 tickets, they have a 30% damage rate with you, their score is going to be pretty high. If they get more tickets in with less damages, their score can go down, right? And that's what DRA does. It's a learning model for the data, the things that damage you directly. For Earth Insights AI, that is our AI model that is the industry leading AI model that predicts both the impact and the prediction of the damage occurring here, or the risk of a damage occurring here. Those three things in conjunction create a single risk package that is the most sophisticated risk package on the actual market. And of course, predicting risk is a big use case for us here. The next thing is clearing tickets. We talked about that a little bit before. This is new. So in the past, many of you cleared tickets off of auto processing. That's great, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? That takes in a few variables, and you can clear tickets off a few variables. Smart Score can also help clear tickets. And when you think about Smart Score clearing tickets or assigning directly to the field, again, that can use multiple variables. Is it in a particular area? Is it a high profile? Are they using explosives? In that case, I assign it to the field because it's high risk and it's a high profile area, and they're using explosives. Let's get that to the field, right? But what we've also built now with this ticket clearing model, this AI model that we're working on right now, it really does what a human brain does. It looks at tickets as if a human would look at it to decide what to do with the ticket. So if there's additional variables and even things that you clear on outside of just, like auto processing Smart Score, that's what the ticket clearing model does. So we've heard the use case with many of you where you have, 1,000 field techs sitting in a truck an hour each day. And what you're doing is you're looking to see what tickets can we actually clear. This would be the model that would decide and help augment their jobs and get them out working instead of sitting in the truck for an hour each day, right? And then, of course, the very last thing on this list here, the ticket auditing for photos here, that's what we discussed during this webinar here. So we have an AI automated audits, right, where we look at the photos, we determine if there's an issue with the photos, no marks or not the correct color, paint, and flags. Those then are thrown into Smart Score, generated a Smart Score now, and that can be used for automation and a ton of different things. But many of these can be used in conjunction with each other to show you the overall risk that's out there on a particular ticket here. Okay. Now that's everything we have for this webinar, and I'm going to open up to questions at this particular point here. So let me see. We've got a few questions that have come in right now. If you have questions, go ahead and add them to the Q&A standpoint. There's also, I think it's the Q&A or the chat here. Let me see. Let me click on that here. Okay. So yeah, so I see some questions here. So number one is, how do you obtain the photo location information? So that's really two ways. And again, that goes back to the configuration I showed you. You can configure it. The first way is using what's called the EXIF data on each photo. And that EXIF data is like that XML layer on a photo that shows you the lat long of where the photo was taken. So that's one way we obtain the photo location. That's the best way because it's the most accurate, right? Your phone has a GPS on it, a GPS antenna. As you take a picture, it's putting the lat long location of where you're standing. When you took that picture, the field tech is taking that picture, and that is by far the most accurate. If for some reason that data gets stripped, then we can use the location of where the tech uploads the photo. So that's a good kind of second thing to use, because generally techs, if they're doing work with their phones, the responses from their phones, they're generally going to upload the photos right there. The problem comes into play if they do go back into the office and upload. That's not as accurate because it's going to give you the location of where they uploaded and not the location of where they took the photos. But that's where the EXIF data is really useful there. So we can work with you on that to make sure that the EXIF data is there on your photos as you upload here. One thing, another question, is it possible to upload images at a later time? Absolutely. So without a doubt, it's possible to upload an image at a later time. And that goes back to two things. Number one is, generally the EXIF data will be there. So as you upload images, even if you're back in the office, we'll generally have that location data on the actual photo itself. So that's perfectly fine. And then number two is when you upload the photos, then we throw them through the AI model to get the results back, the AI model that we built to get the results back. So you don't have to do it while the tech's on site. The techs can do it at a later time then, and then we can audit the photos as they come in. So there's no issue with that at all here. Next question here. What specific element does the AI analyze in each image? And then can it identify objects beyond just orange paint and flags? So first thing, there's two kind of parts to that question here. What specific elements does the AI analyze in each image? So what we've done specifically for these images, these models that I showed you today, are we've created models that look to say, is there orange paint and is there orange flags? Is there blue paint and blue flags, red paint and red flags, and so on? So these models are specific to detect the color And is there paint or is there flags on the ground just as if a human would, right? And if you think about it as a human, if you look at a photo, you can classify that image as well. You can say, yep, this one has orange paint or orange flags. This one's good. This one does not. This one's a fail. The AI model we built does that exact thing, and that's the data that we train it with specific to this model here. Now, the second part of that question here, can it identify objects beyond just orange paint and orange flags? The answer is yes, right? And like I said, we'd have to work with you on what you're looking for, right? On that. We've built many different models, and we're still building models out as well. And again, meter inspection model has nothing to do with the orange paint flags, completely separate from that. We're working on some additional models here, like using satellite imagery. So we'd have to work with you to say, what other things do you want to identify? But we can absolutely build models that identify specific objects as well, beyond just the orange paint and flags here. Good questions there. Now let me come in and see. I think seeing if there's additional questions here in the Q&A. There is here. So we've got would changes to pass-fail criteria affect historical tickets or tickets moving forward? So what it is it does not impact historical tickets. If you want that, we could probably create a process to actually run it through on historical, so we could do that. But that would be kind of a specific process for you for that here. But really what happens is the day you turn the model on and as photos start actually getting imported, that's when the process starts running. But if you've got some things, some things in the past that you want to do, we could talk to you about a process to run old tickets through. Second, the other question here, will things like focus/motion, blur, or angle of the photo be evaluated? Absolutely. And let me explain what I mean by this here. We actually take that into account when we're actually creating the models themselves, the AI models themselves. So you've got to use, like when we build the AI models, you've got to use what actually happens in the field. And what happens in the field isn't always pretty, right? Sometimes they're walking when they take the photo, so you get kind of a motion blurred image. Sometimes they've got a dog chasing them, sometimes in the middle of the street, so they're running off to the side, right? So what we try to do is we try to get the most realistic photos to build these models with. If you build them only on the most perfect photo every time, then you do not get realistic results. Your accuracy and your confidence is not good from the AI model you get back. So we do take focus and motion, blur, and angle into account, and we try to get a sampling size of realistic photos with all of those different things on them. What's also important, and this isn't talked about very much as well, we also have to train them on the negative photos, the photos that say, hey, this may have like orange paint flags, but ignore it, right? So if you think about it, if there's like an orange cone, an orange barrel used for road work, right? We don't want that to ping as having an orange paint, orange flag, or if there's a dog walking with an orange vest on it, right? So we train the models based on what we'll call negative images as well to say, hey, look at these realistic photos over here, which are actually of orange paint flags, may not be perfect, but that's okay. But then also look at these over here and do not use these in the criteria selection when we train the model. So that's what we do here. Another question here. Many states have different 811 criteria that is collected for ground disturbance. Some aren't nearly as detailed as others. How is this addressed with the new AI, right? And so there's a lot to unpack that question as well, right? Because there are many different states do have it, right? In terms of what is considered ground disturbance. Is it you with an excavator digging the ground? Yes. Is it you with putting in a mailbox, or is it you in your flower bed, right? We don't really, how do I say this? If a ticket is called in, and there's a ticket that's called in here, and then our customers are using our product to work that ticket and decide whether or not to do a mark and locate, take images of the mark and locate. As long as they take images of the mark and locate, we run it through the AI model, right? And so that's what we do. So if a ticket is in the system, and then customers take images of that ticket, after doing the mark and locate, that's when we run it through the model. So depending on the state one call, they do have different criteria. But as long as we get the ticket, as long as the work has been done, that's when the AI model comes into play here. And that's how it's addressed the new AI here. Hopefully I answered that question. If not, email me. You'll see my contact information up on the screen. Email me if I didn't answer that question to in the full regard there. Okay, any other questions? Some great questions we've had here. I'll give it just a minute for other questions here. While we're waiting for other questions, I just want to say a few things here. number one, my contact information is on the screen. If you have any questions at all, feel free to email me. I'll get back to you here with answers. It doesn't matter what it is here. Second thing is that this will be posted to our YouTube channel. So if you go take a look at YouTube and do a search for Earth Solutions, you will find Earth Solutions out there here, and you'll be able to review this content or pass this content on, as well as many, many other different webinars that we've done here. So I'll give it just another minute here to see if there's any other questions that pop up, and if not, yeah, I think that's it here. So yeah, really appreciate everyone's time. Great questions here. Again, feel free to reach out to me. Take a look at YouTube and feel free to pass the content on, and really appreciate everyone's time today. Have a great day here. We'll see you.